all of the labyrinths that work in this way in quieting the mind and helping people on their path, all of those have a number of things in common. They have one path from the outside to the center. Outside is oftentimes our external world, the physical world that we live in, and where the center, generally in the journey, the winding path to that, is often representing the journey. And the journey inwards is often the greatest journey that we undertake. It's the most significant to us, and it's often the one that is most difficult, because we're exploring some of our emotions, our feelings, and issues that have arisen for us in our lives, and we explore those. But the labyrinth can help on that. It can bring insights and bring guidance. And they're all interconnected, and the labyrinth is interconnected. And I would say with everything, the more I work with the labyrinth, the pattern I showed earlier has 7 circuits representing our 7 chakras. When walking through the labyrinth, you're passing through your 7 chakras. One of the reasons some people feel more balanced and centered after walking the labyrinth is either consciously or subconsciously they have aligned themselves. They become at one with themselves by walking the labyrinth. A symbol of oneness. The labyrinth is a symbol of oneness that brings you into a state of being at one with yourself. When you're at one with yourself, then you're in a space where you can be at one with others, with your family, with your friends, with people you don't even know. You can be at one with your environment, be one with the world, with the universe, and with that one divine source, whatever it is that we call it. And so we're connected. There are many, it represents many different aspects. The 7 circuits have been shown to illustrate the cosmos, the physical bodies that you could be seen by the physical eye, the 7 planets on the moon. I see that the more I work with the labyrinth, the more I see how it is connected and interconnected with everything else. And for me, that's telling me I am connected with everything else. And sometimes we forget that we're connected. You and I are obviously connected here, well, connected through some. In some ways, we're not physically connected because we're at other sides of the world, but we're connected in spirit and in almost physically, and we can see each other on the screen. So what are we connected to? I mean, that is the message. What are you connected to right now, and what am I connected to? We're connected to each other. We're also connected to everybody who is going to watch this and listen to this, and connected in maybe ways that we don't even realize. As I said earlier, something I say may resonate with somebody, and that is a connection that people are, I believe, have come here to hear. We have all come with a purpose. You doing this, me doing this, and people doing again what makes them feel alive. And so we are connected. And the question we need to ask ourselves every time we become aware of is, what am I connected to now? And is it something that is positive and enhancing my life and positive and enhancing the lives of everybody else? If it is, well, then keep going, keep doing it. If you're not sure, well, then have a bit of a think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the connectedness, that the world is getting very small. The more and more our technology is wonderful. It gets blamed for a lot of things, but it is making everybody more connected. It is making us become more aware of the oneness. We can contact people anywhere in the world at a second's notice now. Soon maybe we won't even need the laptop.
So true. I would love for you to share maybe kind of a story of when you were younger and maybe one of your first experiences encountering a labyrinth or the idea of a labyrinth. Can you describe what that was like and what that felt like?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't encounter any labyrinths when I was young. I was very attracted to mazes, which we mentioned earlier, designed to confuse, and I used to love doing puzzle mazes with a pen, and I'd get books of mazes and find my way to the center or to whatever the destination was. In some ways, that maybe was a precursor to working with the labyrinth, which is a way of finding myself or finding what it is, an answer to whatever issue that I have in my life at that time. So I only came across labyrinths about 10 years ago when my partner, Fanula, had a deck of angel cards, and I picked one. It was called Melchizedek Labyrinth. And it was the same pattern that I showed earlier, the 7-circuit classical pattern. It has many, many names. It's called Luna's Labyrinth, it's called Melchizedek's Labyrinth, it's called the Christian Labyrinth, Celtic Labyrinth, classical labyrinths, and so on. There's so many names for it. And it's again, something resonated in me because that was I started, I would say the labyrinth found me. It
Mm,
means that I am drawn to the labyrinth as many people are. There is something about that symbol that is heat for me at this time and for humanity at this time. And I just decided to make one in my garden. People asked me about it. I started talking about it. I started giving workshops for people. So many people asked me. I said, "Look, come on, we'll all get together on Saturday and talk about labyrinth." So and to paint about labyrinths, I paint many images of labyrinths. I write about them, and messages, wisdom, and insights I receive from working with the labyrinth, I share with people. Some of
mm.
what I'm doing here now is sharing that. It's not for me to keep to myself, and not anymore. But I do have my back garden, and I just heard "Let It Go," and that took me a little while. So I just felt I had to go out to the world with the message and the guidance that was coming to me, the wisdom. I call it labyrinth wisdom. It's
Yeah,
not necessarily the wisdom. The labyrinth is the wisdom that each one of us has within ourselves, that the labyrinth is helping us to access.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I would say, walk a labyrinth, trace one with your finger, and if you do it with an intention and with a question, well, then it is more likely to be significant for you.
yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned um, cards. There was, you saw this
Yes,
labyrinth in a deck of cards, and I know that you yourself have developed a beautiful set of wisdom labyrinth cards. So tell us about
yes.
those.
Yeah, I mean, people ask me where all this idea or inspiration came from, and then it's like it was one fact of inspiration. One way to walk the labyrinth is to ask a question. And see, walk and allow your awareness, to your mind to quieten and become aware. But oftentimes people don't have a labyrinth to walk, or they don't have a finger one to trace. So I felt that if there is a lot of symbolism in the labyrinth, a lot of interconnections with the labyrinth, a lot of associations with many things. And I felt if I illustrated these in a deck of cards and people asked a question and chose a card, that on the basis that nothing happens by accident, that it would have a meaning and a significance for people. I didn't realize maybe at the time how significant it might have been for me or for many others. It took 7 years to do this work. At the start, I had many of the messages, and sometimes it flowed, and I would go back and wouldn't even realize. I didn't feel like I was writing it, that it was coming through me. And other times that work, I just a bit like life. Sometimes everything flows wonderfully, and other times you have to, what's the word, break through the barriers or jump the hurdles that are placed in front of you. Um, and I didn't know how to paint, or I didn't paint, and I was asking artist friends to illustrate the cards, and they were doing some nice images, but not ones that, for me, held the essence of that card. So I started, and there was one very simple card, a childlike painting that I wanted, called Simplicity, a three-circuit basic labyrinth. So I painted that first, and it was the image that I wanted and felt was right for that card. And then I just said, is there a second image I can do? And somewhere along the way, after the third or fourth image, some of the images were way beyond any ability that I felt I had as an artist. It was like something magical was happening here, and I'm looking at the paintings and saying, where did it come from? Because I felt it was almost beyond me, if that makes sense. So I kept working through, and it took many years until I had an image for each card that represented the essence of that card. It mightn't be an image that you put up on your wall, some of them you would, but others, they just illustrate what is in that card. And there's a message on each card, and you can pick a card just for a message, or you can ask a question and pick a card. And many times, even I myself, and people are reporting back to me that those cards are saying something to them or giving the answers that they need at that time.
Mm,
I see it as what I call the consciousness field of the labyrinth. So I tapped into the labyrinth consciousness field and juiced the cards with the messages and the images. Well, then that was the same as somebody who's walking their own labyrinth. It's this wisdom or this consciousness field that is there available for us all to tap into and to receive. And it's part of the oneness consciousness. It's everything is interconnected. It's like a matrix. You ask a question. If it's through the labyrinth, if that's the vehicle that works for you, then use it. But there are many other tools. But the labyrinth is, you probably realize, the one that makes my art, and the one that I'm here at this time to bring to people and to to share the messages that I'm receiving and the messages that some people are meant to receive through the work that I'm doing.
Mm. And you know, you've shared so many really beautiful and big insights about labyrinths and some really good messages as well. And I would like to know, um, just in your heart right now, if there was one very specific message for people to hear from you today, what would that message be?
The one big message for me and for everybody else is that every moment is significant. I've said already, it's significant that I'm speaking here. It's significant for whoever is watching and listening to this, because there are messages and insights coming to us all the time, except that our minds, we're not aware enough sometimes to hear them. And the labyrinth quietens the mind, but it's really going back to the significance of this moment for us and the significance of what we might receive by listening, but also by listening to ourselves in what we speak, in how we think, and in what we do. That is significant, not just for ourselves, but for everybody that interacts with us and that resonates and ripples out to all of humanity. This moment is significant. Honor it. You are living on the edge of creation, so create wisely, thoughtfully, from your heart, because once you create from your heart, there is no wrong. It is right.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful message. And for anyone who's listening and would like to contact Tony directly, you can do so at his website, labyrinthireland.com. Tony, Christie, thank you so much for sharing this time with me today.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Thank you so much.